with thought. Life is full of relationships that bring joy, inspiration, and growth. But inevitably, we also encounter individuals whose presence seems to drain our energy, test our patience, and challenge our peace of mind. Today, I want to share with you 7 clever ways to deal with toxic people without losing your kindness, values, or focus. Before you can effectively deal with toxic people, you must first understand who you are and what you stand for. Clarity of values is the foundation of all meaningful relationships, including the one you have with yourself. Without a clear understanding of your core principles, what truly matters to you, it becomes far too easy to be swayed or manipulated by negativity. Think of your values as a compass. They guide your decisions, shape your boundaries, and dictate how you interact with the world. Toxic people often thrive in environments of uncertainty where boundaries are blurry and reactions are impulsive. But when your values are clear, they act as an invisible shield, helping you recognize behaviors that align with your beliefs and those that don't. Start by asking yourself a few essential questions. What are the non-negotiables in your life? What kind of behavior do you consider respectful and acceptable? What kind of energy do you want to bring into and keep into your space? For example, if you value honesty, integrity, or kindness, then dishonesty, manipulation, and cruelty will naturally stand out as behaviors you won't tolerate. When these toxic traits surface, your clarity of values gives you the confidence to address them directly or disengage altogether. Clarity of values also empowers you to recognize when you're being pulled into patterns that don't serve you. Toxic people can sometimes make us question ourselves, causing us to doubt our worth or priorities. But when you have an unshakable understanding of your values, you stay anchored. You're less likely to internalize their negativity or allow it to cloud your judgment. Now, here's the beauty of this approach. When you define your values and live by them, you create an invisible barrier that repels toxicity. It's not about being confrontational or defensive. It's about being so grounded in your truth that you naturally steer away from drama and chaos. Toxic people are less likely to persist when they see that their behavior won't sway you or affect your peace. In practice, this might look like politely yet firmly saying, "I don't think that's constructive," when faced with constant criticism. Or it could mean choosing not to engage in gossip or conversations that feel draining and negative. By clearly aligning your actions with your values, you not only protect yourself, but also model what healthy boundaries and respect look like. Empathy is often considered one of the most powerful tools in our relational toolbox. It's the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, to put ourselves in their shoes and see the world through their eyes. When it comes to dealing with toxic people, empathy can seem like a challenge, especially when their behavior feels hurtful, draining, or hostile. But understanding how to harness empathy in these situations can lead to greater peace, resilience, and emotional clarity. At its core, empathy is not about excusing poor behavior or absorbing negativity. It's about recognizing that toxic people, much like all of us, are shaped by their own unique experiences, challenges, and wounds. When we respond to toxic behavior with empathy, we approach the situation with a mindset of understanding rather than judgment. This shift in perspective allows us to maintain our peace and make better decisions about how to engage with them. Understanding the roots of toxicity. Before we react, it's important to remember that most toxic behavior doesn't come from a place of malice. More often than not, it stems from pain, insecurity, or unresolved emotional wounds. Toxic individuals may have experienced neglect, rejection, or criticism in their past, leading them to adopt negative patterns of thinking and behavior. They may act out of fear, jealousy, or a desperate need for validation. For example, a person who constantly criticizes others might be projecting their own insecurities or fear of inadequacy. A person who manipulates or gaslights others may have learned to use these tactics as a defense mechanism to avoid vulnerability. By considering these potential causes, we can start to see toxic behavior through a lens of compassion rather than feeling personally attacked. Empathy allows us to step outside the immediate emotional reaction and gain perspective on why someone may be acting the way they are. By recognizing their human struggles, we can better understand the root of their behavior, and more importantly, we can choose not to let it define us or diminish our emotional well-being. Emotional distance without disengagement. Empathy helps create the emotional distance needed to protect ourselves while still remaining compassionate. It's about being able to see someone suffering without absorbing their toxic energy. This means we can acknowledge their struggles, but we don't have to let them invade our emotional space. This balance is essential in maintaining our own mental health while also practicing kindness and understanding. For example, imagine you're dealing with someone who's perpetually negative, constantly complaining, and draining your energy. Instead of reacting with frustration or resentment, take a step back and ask yourself, what might be happening in their life right now that's causing them to act this way? Are they overwhelmed by stress? Are they dealing with feelings of loneliness or fear? Is there something about their own past that they haven't processed yet? By shifting to this perspective, you can begin to empathize with them without allowing their negativity to overtake you. You may even find that you feel a sense of compassion for their struggles, which can diffuse some of the frustration you feel when they are toxic or difficult. And choosing. The concrete is compassion. The conning is condemnation. Empathy also gives us the opportunity to choose how we respond, whether with compassion or with condemnation. When we approach toxic people from a place of empathy, we are more likely to respond with kindness, patience, and understanding rather than defensiveness, anger, or judgment. However, this doesn't mean we accept or tolerate toxic behavior. Instead, it means we address the situation with maturity and emotional clarity. For instance, instead of responding with anger when someone is rude or dismissive, we might say, I can see that you're upset. Let's take a moment to understand what's bothering you. This response does not enable bad behavior, but it creates an opening for healthier communication. It also allows us to stand our ground while showing understanding, a balance that helps de-escalate conflict rather than fuel it. Additionally, empathy allows us to express our feelings without being confrontational. For example, if a friend or colleague continually interrupts or disrespects you, you might say, I understand that you have strong opinions, but when I'm interrupted, it makes me feel unheard. Can we have a conversation where we both get a chance to speak? This response shows that you are aware of their emotions, but you are also asserting your own boundaries in a compassionate way. Perspective, seeing the bigger picture. Perspective is closely tied to empathy, but it's more about taking a step back and viewing the situation in its entirety. When we are caught in a toxic interaction, it's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment and lose sight of the bigger picture. But when we pause and take a broader view of the situation, we can often find clarity. For example, consider the long-term impact of your response. Will engaging in conflict or reacting emotionally bring you closer to your goals and values, or will it perpetuate negativity and drain your energy? Sometimes taking a moment to ask ourselves this question helps us make better decisions about how to engage with toxic individuals. Often, the wisest course of action is to disengage from the drama and focus on what serves your well-being. Perspective also helps us realize that toxic people, just like everyone else, are constantly evolving. It's important to remember that people can change over time. While you may not be able to change a toxic person's behavior directly, the way you respond to them can influence the dynamic. By remaining empathetic and consistent in your values, you might inspire positive change in those around you, or at the very least, protect your own peace. Empathy and perspective in practice. In practice, empathy and perspective don't mean you have to bear the weight of someone else's emotional turmoil. You don't need to absorb their negativity or make excuses for their harmful behavior. But what empathy and perspective allow you to do is approach these situations with understanding rather than frustration, with patience rather than defensiveness. This mindset shift is powerful. It frees you from the grip of toxic behavior, and it shifts your focus to your own emotional resilience. When you can empathize with someone while maintaining healthy emotional distance, you no longer feel at the mercy of their toxicity. You are no longer defined by their actions, but by how you choose to respond to them. Strategic detachment is one of the most powerful tools in maintaining your emotional well-being when dealing with toxic people. It might sound counterintuitive. Detachment often carries negative connotations, as though we're emotionally withdrawing or abandoning someone. But in reality, strategic detachment is about consciously choosing to disengage from unnecessary emotional turmoil while still being mindful, present, and intentional in your actions. It is not about ignoring or avoiding reality, but rather about responding to negativity with clarity and control. And so this is something I think it's so important that we understand. When we are caught in the web of toxic behavior, our natural instinct is often to react, whether it's defending ourselves, trying to change someone's mind, or seeking justice for hurtful words or actions. We become emotionally entangled. This leads to stress, frustration, and a sense of powerlessness. Strategic detachment allows us to recognize that we don't need to engage with every provocation, and we don't need to take everything personally. Recognizing the power of detachment. At the heart of strategic detachment is the realization that you control how you respond to situations, and more importantly, what you allow into your mental and emotional space. Toxic people often thrive in environments where they can manipulate, provoke, or pull others into their negativity. They may use guilt, manipulation, aggression, or passive-aggressive behavior to maintain control. When you strategically detach, you take back that control. You choose not to react with anger, frustration, or defensiveness. Instead, you calmly assess the situation and, if necessary, disengage without feeding into the negativity. Strategic detachment doesn't mean that you care any less about the person or the situation. It means you're creating an emotional boundary that protects your peace. By practicing detachment, you acknowledge that while you may not be able to control someone else's actions, you have complete control over how you engage with them. The role of emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries are crucial in strategic detachment. Toxic people often have little respect for boundaries. They may push your buttons, invade your space, or try to manipulate your emotions. In such situations, detachment is your shield. Emotional boundaries are about drawing a line between what is yours and what is not. They are about protecting your emotional energy and deciding what you are willing to tolerate and what you are not. One of the most important aspects of detachment is understanding that it is okay to say no. You don't owe anyone your emotional labor. If someone is constantly draining you, or if their behavior is abusive, it is perfectly reasonable to remove yourself from the situation. Saying no might mean politely excusing yourself from a conversation, avoiding engaging in a particular topic, or even distancing yourself from a toxic person altogether. These boundaries allow you to preserve your energy and mental space, creating a healthier environment for yourself. Detaching without disconnecting. Strategic detachment also involves a balanced approach to emotional engagement. It doesn't mean you completely disconnect or shut off your empathy. You can still care for the person without allowing their toxic behaviors to influence you. The key is recognizing that their negativity is not your burden to carry. For example, if you're dealing with someone who consistently engages in gossip or negative talk, detachment allows you to disengage from that conversation without losing your composure. Rather than participating or feeding into the drama, you can politely excuse yourself or change the subject. You maintain your peace without engaging in a power struggle. Similarly, in relationships where toxic patterns are recurring, detachment may look like giving space without completely cutting ties. It means stepping back, observing the dynamics from a distance, and letting the person face their own emotions or issues. Detachment does not mean abandoning the person. It means stepping away from the emotional entanglement that limits both of you. It allows you to remain composed, and it may even give the other person the space they need to reflect on their actions. Detaching from the need for validation. Toxic people often thrive on manipulating the need for validation in others. They may employ gaslighting techniques or create confusion in order to make you question your own perceptions and worth. In these situations, strategic detachment becomes a crucial tool for maintaining your self-confidence. When you're detached, you stop seeking validation or approval from someone whose behavior is inconsistent or unreliable. You recognize that your sense of self-worth comes from within, not from external validation. This shift in mindset allows you to maintain a sense of emotional security regardless of what toxic individuals may say or do. Instead of trying to prove yourself right or seeking acknowledgement for your point of view, strategic detachment helps you relinquish the need for validation. You understand that the actions of a toxic person reflect more about them than they do about you. This realization frees you from the need to convince, defend, or justify yourself in toxic interactions. You are able to let go of the desire for external recognition, and instead you embrace your own inner strength and self-assurance. Practicing detachment in high conflict situations. In situations where conflict escalates or toxic behavior becomes intense, strategic detachment is crucial. High stress moments often trigger emotional reactions, whether it's anger, hurt, or frustration. But these reactions often cloud our judgment and exacerbate the situation. When we practice detachment, we create space between the stimulus, the toxic behavior, and our response. For example, when someone lashes out in anger or attempts to manipulate you, the impulse might be to defend yourself or retaliate. But if you pause and allow yourself a moment of detachment, you gain clarity. You can choose to not take their words personally and instead respond from a place of calm strength. You recognize that the person's actions are a reflection of their own struggles, not your worth. This doesn't mean that you accept or tolerate mistreatment, Rather, detachment allows you to assert your boundaries without getting caught in the emotional intensity of the conflict. You become less reactive and more proactive in maintaining your own peace. The benefits of strategic detachment. By practicing strategic detachment, you gain a sense of emotional freedom. You stop feeling like a victim to someone else's behavior, and instead you reclaim your personal power. Detachment doesn't isolate you emotionally. It creates space for healthier relationships. It allows you to engage when it's necessary and withdraw when it's harmful. In the long run, strategic detachment helps you maintain a sense of emotional resilience. It teaches you that you can coexist with toxic people without being consumed by their negativity. You can remain compassionate without sacrificing your peace of mind. Most importantly, it empowers you to choose your responses, your actions, and your interactions so you can live a life that aligns with your values, priorities, and well-being. In a world that often feels overwhelmed by negativity, be it from the media, social networks, or toxic individuals, it can be easy to get caught in a downward spiral of frustration, pessimism, and despair. But focusing on positivity is not just about wearing rose-colored glasses or ignoring the real challenges we face. It's a conscious choice to channel your energy toward what empowers, uplifts, and motivates you, rather than allowing negativity to dominate your mindset and interactions. When dealing with toxic people, one of the most effective strategies is to shift your focus away from their behavior and toward the things that inspire and nourish your growth. Focusing on positivity is an intentional act of self-preservation that not only enhances your well-being, but also helps you to be resilient in the face of negativity. By concentrating on the things that matter most, your values, your goals, your relationships, and your mental and emotional health, you build a solid foundation that is impervious to external toxicity. End quote. The power of a positive mindset. A positive mindset doesn't mean ignoring reality or sugarcoating difficult situations. It's about cultivating an attitude that emphasizes possibilities over problems, solutions over complaints, and hope over despair. When you focus on positivity, you create an internal environment that fosters peace, resilience, and optimism, which makes it harder for external negativity to take root. Research has shown that a positive mindset has far-reaching benefits. People with a more positive outlook tend to have lower levels of stress, better physical health, stronger immune systems, and greater overall life satisfaction. They are more adaptable in the face of adversity and are better equipped to handle life's challenges. This mindset shift doesn't require a complete overhaul of your thoughts. It's about consciously choosing to redirect your energy toward what uplifts and empowers you. In the context of dealing with toxic people, focusing on positivity allows you to approach these situations with a greater sense of emotional clarity and purpose. Instead of reacting to negativity with negativity, you approach it with a sense of purpose, calm, and understanding. This shift in focus not only protects your emotional energy, but also helps you maintain your sense of self-worth and integrity in difficult interactions. The art of redirecting focus. When confronted with toxic behavior, one of the most effective ways to protect yourself is by redirecting your focus. Instead of dwelling on the hurtful actions of others, shift your attention towards something that brings you joy, peace, or fulfillment. This might mean focusing on your hobbies, your passions, or the relationships that bring you support and encouragement. Whether it's spending time with loved ones, engaging in a creative activity, or simply enjoying nature, redirecting your focus helps you maintain your emotional balance and avoid being dragged into the toxicity of others. Redirecting your focus doesn't mean that you are ignoring the situation or failing to address the behavior. It simply means that you're choosing where to direct your emotional energy. For example, if someone at work is consistently critical and negative, rather than ruminating on their comments, you can choose to redirect your thoughts toward a project that excites you, a conversation with a supportive friend, or an activity that brings you joy. This shift in focus helps you to prevent toxic people from taking up too much emotional space in your life. One powerful way to practice this redirection is through mindfulness. By staying present in the moment and tuning into your body, emotions, and thoughts, you can notice when negativity begins to creep in. Then you can intentionally refocus your attention on something that aligns with your values, goals, and sense of peace. Whether it's focusing on your breath, a positive affirmation, or a happy memory, mindfulness practices help you remain grounded in positivity amidst a world full of distractions and challenges. Conscious curiosity comes in to shore up the focus, to help you build more and more discipline, cultivating gratitude. One of the most powerful ways to focus on positivity is through the practice of gratitude. When you intentionally seek out the things you're grateful for, you begin to rewire your brain to focus on the good, even in the face of adversity. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what you already have, helping you to develop a sense of abundance rather than scarcity. In the context of toxic relationships or situations, practicing gratitude can be a transformative tool. Instead of fixating on the negative aspects of the relationship or interaction, focus on what you can appreciate. Perhaps you're grateful for the lessons these challenges teach you about patience, boundaries, or resilience. Maybe you're grateful for the support of friends, family, or colleagues who help you navigate difficult situations. Or perhaps you're simply grateful for the opportunity to grow and evolve through adversity. Taking time each day to write down or reflect on what you're grateful for helps shift your perspective and improves your overall outlook on life. Research has shown that practicing gratitude regularly can lead to increased happiness, lower levels of stress, and improved mental health. In the context of dealing with toxic people, gratitude helps you maintain a sense of perspective and prevents negativity from overshadowing your experiences. Building positive relationships. Focusing on positivity also involves intentionally cultivating relationships with people who uplift, support, and inspire you. Positive relationships are like emotional anchors that help you stay grounded in your truth and values. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage your growth and offer genuine support makes it easier to cope with the toxic individuals you may encounter. When you focus on positivity, you prioritize relationships that contribute to your well-being. These relationships nurture your sense of self-worth and remind you of what truly matters. Whether it's a close friend, a mentor, a colleague, or a family member, positive relationships provide a safe space where you can be your authentic self, free from judgment or toxicity. It's also important to remember that positivity isn't just about being surrounded by others. It's about cultivating positivity within yourself. You can bring positivity to any relationship, no matter how challenging it may be. By practicing kindness, empathy, and respect, you become a beacon of positivity that can have a ripple effect on those around you. Even in the presence of toxic individuals, your positive energy can act as a counterbalance, helping to diffuse negativity and promote a healthier dynamic.